The galaxy had long believed humans were a myth. Countless species had heard rumors. Of course, stories passed along star routes of strange bipedal creatures with odd instincts and unmatched cunning, but no one had ever seen one. Humans were dismissed as fairy tales, like the old legends of the first stars or the songs of the lost worlds. Even the most curious scholars and daring explorers had failed to find proof, until the day the fleet arrived. Commander Rahl of the Qatar Dominion leaned over the large holoscreen in the bridge of his flagship, the Veshkar. Thousands of ships of his kind had scouted the outer rim for signs of humans for decades. Nothing had ever appeared. And yet, today, there was an anomaly. A single sensor ping, tiny but distinct, appeared on the edge of the galactic map. It wasn't much, just a flicker of energy signatures unlike anything the Dominion had catalogued. It moved fast, too fast for the old propulsion systems they knew. Rahl frowned. "Bring it closer," he ordered. His deep voice echoed across the command deck. "I want visual confirmation. We can't waste time on a ghost." The crew followed his command with efficient precision. The holographic map zoomed in, revealing a glimmering formation of ships unlike any the Dominion had seen. Sleek, angular, yet somehow chaotic, as if they were alive rather than built. Rahl's second-in-command, Lieutenant Myra, tilted her head. "They're moving in formation, but not in the way we understand formations. They respond almost like they're thinking." Rahl's eyes narrowed. "Impossible. No known species can coordinate like that at this speed. And the energy signatures, they're unlike any technology we've ever measured." The crew watched in silence. A hum of nervous tension filled the bridge. Whispers of humans began to circulate. Rahl's brow furrowed. He hated myths, and yet, here it was, the myth staring back at them through their scanners. The fleet didn't slow as they approached the Dominion's border. Instead, it accelerated. Rahl grabbed the edge of the console, steadying himself. "Open a channel," he said finally. "I want to know if these creatures, if they even are creatures, intend peace or war." The bridge fell silent for a moment as the communications officer struggled to establish contact. Then, without warning, a voice filled the room. It was clear, calm, and perfectly intelligible in the universal language. "This is the human fleet. We come in peace." Rahl almost dropped the console. "Peace?" he muttered. "After all this time? They are real." Lieutenant Myra stepped forward. "Commander, they have weapons. Sensors are detecting energy weapons ready for deployment. But they're not charging them. That's unusual behavior for a species unknown to us." Rahl took a deep breath. "They are cautious, but they are not hostile. That is remarkable." Meanwhile, across the galaxy, the humans aboard their flagship, the SS Vanguard, were unaware of the shockwaves they were causing. Captain Elena Drake looked out at the vastness of space from the bridge. "Status report," she called to her first officer. "Lieutenant Corps, all systems nominal, Captain. The Dominion fleet is detected. They are scanning, but not attacking. I suggest we maintain current course and show no aggression." Elena nodded. Humans had always been cautious when entering unknown space. But they were explorers at heart. And curiosity often outweighed fear. "Let them see us," she said softly. "We need them to know humans exist. Not as myths. Not as stories. We are here." Back on the Veshkar, the Dominion fleet shifted in formation. Rahl could feel the unease spreading among his officers. No one had ever faced an unknown species with so much confidence. So much audacity. "Prepare for possible combat," Rahl ordered. Though his heart told him this encounter might not go as expected. "But do not fire unless I give the command. We need to understand what we are dealing with." For hours, the two fleets moved closer, scanning each other, analyzing every signal. The humans responded to every scan, every probe, every attempt to measure them with calm precision. It was frustratingly impressive. "What are they?" one officer whispered to Rahl. "They shouldn't exist. No species should have mastered energy manipulation," faster than light coordination, and such advanced navigation without leaving traces for centuries. "They are human," Rahl said quietly, as if speaking the word aloud made it real. "And they are nothing we expected." The humans had reached a point where they could no longer avoid communication. Elena raised a hand, activating a visual signal across the Dominion fleet's sensors. A humanoid figure appeared, standing on the bridge of the Vanguard, small against the vastness of space but commanding attention. Captain Elena Drake's voice came again, this time through visuals. "We do not intend to fight. We are explorers, travelers seeking new friends and allies. We ask only to be understood." The Dominion fleet murmured in disbelief. A human addressing an entire fleet, alone, with no weapons drawn yet radiating authority. Rahl leaned forward. "This is unprecedented. Their presence alone is a threat to our assumptions. And yet, they do not strike." One of his officers, trembling slightly, said, "Commander, they are demonstrating dominance, but in a way we cannot define. It is not aggression. It is assurance, confidence." Rahl nodded slowly. He had faced many challenges in his life, rebellions, pirate attacks, rival fleets, but nothing prepared him for this. "Bring them aboard a diplomatic channel," he ordered. "I need to speak with this human. We need answers." Meanwhile, the humans were preparing for their first direct conversation with an alien species of such scale. Elena's crew was tense, but excited. They had trained for encounters like this for years, though most in simulations, not in real life. "Prepare the translation interface," Elena said. "Let's show them that humans are more than a rumor." When the connection opened, Elena's image appeared before Rahl, larger and more detailed than the small hologram earlier. Her eyes were steady, unflinching, and full of intelligence. "Commander Rahl," she said, "we understand your skepticism. Humans were thought to be myths, stories for children, and entertainment for the curious. We are here to change that." Rahl stared at her. "You exist. You are real." Elena smiled faintly. "As real as any of you. And we intend to make sure that reality is known. Across this galaxy, there should be no doubt, humans are here. And we are capable." Rahl's officers exchanged uneasy glances. He could feel the weight of history pressing down on him. The galaxy had been confident humans were legends. Now, everything was about to change. "Tell me," Rahl said slowly. "Why now? Why reveal yourselves at this time?" Elena looked out at the stars beyond her fleet. "Because we have explored, we have grown, and we have learned that myths are dangerous when left unchallenged. The galaxy must know that humans are not to be underestimated. Not in war. Not in diplomacy. Not in life." The word struck Rahl like a lightning bolt. He had expected threats, ultimatums, demands, but not wisdom, not honesty. "This is unprecedented," he whispered. I do not know how to respond." Elena's smile widened. "Then let us begin by understanding each other. Let our fleets move in peace, and let conversation guide our actions. There is much to learn on both sides." As the human fleet slowly moved into formation alongside the Dominion, Rahl felt the first stirrings of something he had not expected. Respect and fear. But not of their power, of the unknown potential within humans. The myth was real. The humans had arrived, and the galaxy would never be the same again. For the first time in centuries, the Outer Rim felt alive with possibilities. And for Commander Rahl, the question was no longer whether humans existed. It was whether anyone, anywhere, could understand just how extraordinary they were. The stars between the Dominion fleet and the human fleet shimmered as if aware of the historic meeting unfolding. Commander Rahl felt a mixture of awe and unease. He had faced countless threats, seen civilizations rise and fall. But nothing prepared him for humans. They were unlike any species he had ever encountered. Confident, calm, and yet full of unpredictable energy. On the bridge of the Vanguard, Captain Elena Drake observed the Dominion fleet with careful interest. Every movement they made, every sensor ping, every adjustment in formation told her something. Humans had always relied on observation first. Patience was their weapon, diplomacy their shield, and ingenuity their sword. Lieutenant Kor leaned over the tactical console. "Captain, they are studying us closely. They've never seen technology move or react like this before. Their fear, it's palpable." Elena nodded. "Good. Let them feel the truth. Not intimidation. Not hatred. Just the reality of who humans are." Back on the Veshkar, Raal's officers continued to analyze the human ships. Every scan returned strange results. Humans did not rely on standard energy shields alone. Their ships seemed to anticipate attacks before they happened, adjusting fields, speeds, and trajectories almost instinctively. Their weapons, though deadly, were never activated. The humans studied but did not provoke. Lieutenant Myra whispered to Raal, "Commander, they could destroy us in moments, yet they choose not to." Raal's fingers tapped the console nervously. "That is what makes them dangerous. Not their strength alone, but their self-control. They do not act out of fear or rage, only purpose." The human fleet slowly moved closer, entering the Dominion's controlled space. Sensors from the Dominion ships could barely keep up. Humans moved with fluid grace, as if space itself bent slightly around them. Captain Drake raised her hand and sent a calm signal across the Dominion fleet, this time in multiple universal languages. "We come to learn, to trade knowledge, to share experience. Conflict does not interest us, but we will defend ourselves if threatened." Raal leaned forward. The words echoed in the halls of his mind. "They speak of defense, yet there is no hostility. It is almost philosophical. Are humans like this with all species?" Lieutenant Amira shook her head. "We don't know, but I suspect not. They are unique." Meanwhile, Elena had a plan. Humans had entered Dominion space not to conquer, but to demonstrate that they existed. Yet demonstration alone was not enough. They had to show capability, intelligence, and the capacity for both war and peace qualities that had allowed humans to survive and thrive on Earth for millennia. "Prepare a demonstration," she said. "A controlled display of our fleet's coordination and abilities. Nothing that harms them, but enough to show that humans are unlike any species they have known." Lieutenant Kor nodded. "Understood, Captain. I'll coordinate with all squadrons." On the Veshkar, Raal's officers continued to speculate. "They must be hiding something," one muttered. "No species this advanced would reveal themselves this slowly. We should attack before they." Raal silenced him with a glare. "No. Observe first. Humanity is not a threat we can define yet. Strike, and we may trigger something catastrophic." Hours passed, and the humans began their display. Drones were released in coordinated patterns, forming complex geometric shapes that floated effortlessly in space. Ships moved in perfect synchronization, weaving around one another with speeds that challenged Dominion sensors. Energy pulses illuminated the void, not as weapons but as markers of precision and control. Raal could not look away. "They are artists as well as warriors," he whispered. "This is not combat. It is understanding." Lieutenant Myra nodded. "And terrifying. They are more powerful than anything in our records. Yet they are calm. Always calm." Elena watched the Dominion reactions carefully. Their astonishment was expected. Humans had long known that fear often led to the first mistakes. By showing discipline and controlled capability, humans demonstrated superiority without aggression. "This is the first step," she said softly. "We show them who we are, not to frighten them, but to make them respect us. Once respect exists, understanding follows." The demonstration ended. Silence filled the void between the fleets. Then, slowly, Commander Raal spoke. "You are extraordinary," he said. "I do not know what else to call it. We studied myths. We chased stories. And all along, you existed. And now, seeing your fleet, I realize how little we understood. Elena's image on the holo screen did not smile in arrogance. She nodded. We have grown in isolation. Humans are resilient, adaptable, intelligent, and cooperative. But we are also cautious. We understand the consequences of our actions. That is what allowed us to survive. Raul's brow furrowed. Survive? On your homeworld? Elena's gaze softened, but her tone was firm. Yes. Humans have faced threats that would have destroyed lesser species. Extinction, starvation, war, disease. We overcame each with innovation and determination. That is why we are here now, to share our knowledge and capabilities, and to ensure that no myth can ever replace reality. Lieutenant Myra whispered, almost to herself, they are rewriting what we know about life itself. Raul nodded slowly. He had a decision to make. Every instinct told him to view humans as a threat, yet every observation said otherwise. They were powerful, yes, but controlled. Dangerous, yes, but predictable in ways that suggested intelligence beyond mere survival. We need dialogue, he said. We must understand them. Open formal diplomatic channels immediately. Bring our council into discussion. Elena acknowledged the signal. We welcome dialogue. Our goal is to explore, to exchange knowledge, and to build alliances if possible. Conflict is not our path. Cooperation is our choice. As formal communications began, the Dominion fleet felt a shift. Officers whispered in wonder. The galaxy had always been ruled by fear, by survival instincts and war. But humans brought something else. A force that was neither violent nor weak. It was a force of purpose. Hours turned into days. Both sides sent envoys aboard neutral stations, exchanging ideas, philosophies, and technical knowledge. Humans did not overwhelm with their abilities, nor did they flaunt their advanced technology. Instead, they spoke, demonstrated, and listened. On the third day, Commander Raul invited Captain Elena to a personal meeting aboard the Dominion's neutral space station. The halls were enormous, made of a metal that shimmered like liquid silver under the artificial lights. Humans had entered many alien stations before, but none were as imposing as this. Elena walked steadily, her eyes observing everything. Humans had a way of noticing details others overlooked, a trait honed by millennia of adapting to unpredictable conditions. She noticed the patterns of the lights, the flow of personnel, the subtle energy readings in the walls. Every detail was a story, and humans were always students of stories. Raul met her in the main chamber. His presence was imposing, yet he tried to hide his apprehension. Humans seemed to sense unease in ways other species did not. Captain Elena Drake, Raul said formally. Welcome. I must admit, I expected caution, perhaps even aggression. But you are unlike anything we imagined. Elena inclined her head. Thank you, Commander. Humans believe in learning first. We survive not by dominating, but by understanding. That is why we are here. They walked through the station's observation deck, overlooking the docking bays where fleets of both humans and Dominion ships rested. The scene was unprecedented. Species that had never interacted, studying each other in careful peace. You have shown remarkable restraint, Raul admitted. Most species would see us as prey, as obstacles. Yet you treat us as equals, or at least as beings capable of reason. Elena smiled faintly. Respect is earned, not taken. Humans understand that fear and aggression often destroy opportunities. Our goal is coexistence, with caution, but without weakness. That is how we have thrived. Raul considered her words. And if some in the Dominion do not accept this, if they see your fleet as a threat, then they will learn. Elena said simply, humans do not seek war, but we will defend ourselves and those we stand with. And in doing so, we teach lessons others cannot ignore. For a long moment, silence filled the chamber. Both leaders considered the weight of what had begun. The first contact was more than meeting fleets. It was a statement. A challenge. A promise. Finally, Rahl spoke. "We will study you. We will learn from you. But, Captain, know this. Humans have entered a galaxy that is cautious, suspicious, and often violent. It will take time for many to understand your intentions." Elena's gaze was steady. "We expected nothing less. But time favors the patient. And humans are patient, Commander." As they left the observation deck, the reality of the galaxy's reaction began to unfold. Across Dominion-controlled systems, fleets paused, councils debated, and scholars re-evaluated centuries of assumptions. Humans were not myths. Humans were real. And humans were extraordinary. Rahl returned to his flagship with a sense of awe mixed with caution. He had seen humans, spoken with humans, and understood for the first time that legends could be true and far beyond imagination. On the Vanguard, Elena stood on her bridge, looking at the Dominion fleet with measured pride. Her crew was tense but inspired. Humans had made history. They had entered a galaxy that doubted them, and they had been seen and understood in ways few could imagine. "This is only the beginning," she said softly. "The galaxy does not yet know what humans can do, but soon it will." And somewhere in the void between stars, the whispers began. The myth was gone. Reality had arrived. The galaxy would never be the same again. Weeks had passed since humans first arrived in Dominion space. The galaxy was still reeling from the revelation that a species once thought to be myth was real. Commander Rahl walked the corridors of the Veshkar, deep in thought. He had met with Captain Elena Drake personally, witnessed the display of human coordination, and observed their discipline firsthand. Yet, for all their calm and careful diplomacy, one truth could not be ignored. Humans were powerful, unpredictable, and extraordinary. "The humans are too different," muttered Lieutenant Myra, as they reviewed fleet reports. "They do not follow the same logic any other species does. Their responses are clever, adaptive, almost instinctive." Rahl nodded slowly. "That is what makes them dangerous to underestimate. Every species has a pattern. Humans? They break patterns naturally. Across the galaxy, humans themselves were preparing for the next phase of their mission, establishing meaningful alliances. They had already demonstrated their fleet's abilities and intelligence, but now they needed to show that humans could be trusted. Trust, after all, was more difficult than strength. "Captain," Lieutenant Kor said from the tactical console, "our communications from several nearby civilizations indicate curiosity, but also fear. Many are asking, why now? Why reveal yourselves?" Elena studied the data, her expression calm but serious. "We have been patient for centuries. Humans did not reveal themselves until we were prepared to ensure that we could survive and thrive. The galaxy must understand that myths are dangerous. Knowledge of our existence will prevent mistakes, and perhaps unnecessary wars." Kor nodded. "Understood, Captain. Shall we prepare a diplomatic convoy?" Elena smiled faintly. "Yes. But not just to deliver messages. We show them humans are adaptable. We show them we are willing to cooperate, but also capable if challenged." Meanwhile, the Dominion fleet faced internal debate. Councils argued over what humans truly represented. Many saw them as threats. Others, inspired by their display of calm discipline, suggested humans could become powerful allies. The question was no longer whether humans existed, it was what to do now that they had arrived. In one council session, a senior Dominion officer stood up, his voice trembling with urgency. "Commander Rahl, these humans, they are unlike anything we have ever seen. Their technology, their coordination, it defies our understanding. If we misstep, they could dominate us before we even know it." Rahl remained silent for a moment, weighing his options. And yet, if we act in fear, we may lose the chance to learn from them. Humans do not seek war first. They act with purpose, but also with patience. That is what makes them dangerous, but also admirable. On the human side, a convoy of ships was dispatched to nearby systems. Humans had learned long ago that first impressions mattered. They did not rely solely on displays of force. Diplomacy, combined with intelligence and strategic demonstration, was far more effective. The convoy approached the system of Talaris, a minor Dominion outpost with a population of several sentient species. The inhabitants had long whispered about humans, dismissing them as legend. Now, the humans were real, and curiosity mingled with fear. Elena addressed her crew as they prepared to enter orbit. "We are not here to conquer. We are here to show that humans can coexist, can teach, and can lead without domination. Be cautious, but confident. Humans thrive when they act with purpose." The fleet's arrival caused immediate attention. Talaris's defense systems were activated, scanning for threats. Humans, however, moved with deliberate calm, showing no signs of aggression. Their ships formed patterns in orbit, signaling both precision and peaceful intent. A small delegation of Talaris's leaders met the humans in a neutral docking zone. Captain Elena, accompanied by Lieutenant Kor, and a small team of human envoys, disembarked. The leaders eyed them with suspicion, but also wonder. Humans were taller than most species, upright in posture, and radiated confidence without arrogance. "You are real," one of the leaders said, voice quivering. "We thought humans were stories. Myths told to frighten children or inspire curiosity." Elena inclined her head. "We are real. And we have come not to frighten, but to understand and to be understood. We hope to learn from you and to teach, if we can." The delegation studied her closely. "Why reveal yourselves now?" another asked. "What is your purpose in our galaxy?" "Our purpose is survival and cooperation," Elena replied. "We have faced extinction, famine, and war on our homeworld. Humans know that myths can mislead, and knowledge can prevent catastrophe. We are here to ensure that our existence is understood and respected." Meanwhile, reports came in from Dominion scouts observing the convoy. Lieutenant Myra leaned over the console, scanning incoming data. "Commander, their calm is unsettling. They could destroy Talaris's defenses in moments, yet they do nothing aggressive. It is almost unnatural." Rahl watched silently, understanding the truth she implied. Humans had strength, yet they did not use it recklessly. They possessed self-control unlike any species he had known. The combination of power, patience, and intelligence made humans unpredictable and, simultaneously, admirable. Back on Talaris, negotiations began. Humans listened more than they spoke, asking questions, analyzing behavior, and offering guidance where it was needed. They demonstrated technology that could improve energy distribution, medical care, and planetary infrastructure. But at every step, they emphasized cooperation rather than control. The leaders of Talaris could not hide their astonishment. "You have survived your homeworld against unimaginable odds," one said. "And yet, you offer aid, not conquest?" Elena smiled. "We have learned that true strength is not shown by domination, but by understanding and adaptability. Humans survive because we can think, adapt, and cooperate. That is our greatest power." As talks progressed, an unexpected alert came through. Dominion sensors detected an unusual energy signature approaching Talaris from deep space. "Commander," Myra said urgently, "we have an unknown fleet heading toward Talaris. Their energy readings are aggressive, and their numbers are significant." Rahl's eyes narrowed. "Prepare all defensive measures, but do not engage until I give the order. Humans are here. We must protect them, but also understand what they can do." Elena, aboard the Vanguard, received the alert. "Unknown fleet approaching Talaris," Lieutenant Kor reported. "They appear hostile, and their technology is aggressive." Elena nodded. All ships, prepare for tactical maneuver. Remember, defense first. Use strategy, not brute force. The approaching fleet revealed itself. A coalition of alien raiders from systems beyond the Dominion border. They had heard rumors of humans and, fearing potential domination, sought to strike first. Yet they were not prepared for what they encountered. Humans responded with precision. Drones were deployed, creating an intricate defense grid. Ships moved in patterns that anticipated the raiders' attacks before they were launched. Energy shields adjusted dynamically, absorbing and redirecting enemy fire without harming the raiders more than necessary. Humans were demonstrating capability, but restraint. Raal watched in awe as the battle unfolded. Humans moved with instinct and intelligence, predicting enemy moves as if they had fought them for decades. The raiders, confused by the humans' unpredictability and calm, struggled to coordinate attacks. On the bridge of the Vanguard, Elena's voice rang clear. We do not seek unnecessary conflict. Disable, do not destroy. Show them humans can defend without hatred. The humans executed perfectly. Systems were disabled, weapons rendered useless, and ships were immobilized, all without loss of life. The raiders' confidence shattered. Many surrendered, realizing humans were not just powerful, they were disciplined, intelligent, and merciful. As the raiders retreated, the leaders of Talaris looked at the humans with awe and gratitude. We have never seen such control, such capability, such wisdom, one said. Elena nodded. This is how humans survive. Not through mindless aggression, but through careful observation, quick adaptation, and restraint. Strength without wisdom is danger. Strength with wisdom is power that inspires respect. Commander Raal exhaled slowly. The humans had not only defended themselves and Talaris, but they had changed perceptions in the Dominion as well. Observers across systems noted their ability to act decisively yet ethically. For the first time in centuries, humans were not just a myth. They were a force that combined intelligence, courage, and morality in ways that no other species had achieved. Later, in private, Raal reflected on what he had seen. Humans were dangerous, yes, but not because they sought domination. They were dangerous because they were unpredictable, capable of actions and strategies that no one could anticipate. And yet, they inspired hope and admiration, even in those who feared them. Elena, aboard the Vanguard, addressed her crew as they regrouped after the engagement. We have made an impression, she said. The galaxy now knows humans exist. More importantly, they understand what we are capable of and how we act with intelligence and restraint. This is just the beginning. The galaxy will test us. But humans are ready. And somewhere in the void between stars, a new truth spread among civilizations. Humans were no longer myths. Humans were a reality, a species that combined survival, intellect, courage, and restraint in ways that would reshape the galaxy. The galaxy was changing, and humans were leading the way. The galaxy was changing. The arrival of humans had sent shockwaves across countless star systems. Rumors of their existence had transformed into undeniable reality. And now, the challenge was no longer about proof. It was about understanding the humans, their power, their intentions, and the possibilities they brought. Commander Raal stood on the observation deck of the Veshkar, watching the human fleet as it moved with disciplined elegance through Dominion space. Every maneuver, every adjustment in formation, seemed to speak of intelligence and foresight. Humans were not just strong, they were coordinated, adaptable, and fearless in ways that inspired awe. Lieutenant Myra joined him silently, her eyes scanning the human ships. They have changed everything, she said softly. Every fleet in the Dominion, every council meeting, the galaxy's view of power, of strategy, of survival. It will never be the same. Raal nodded. Yes. They are not conquerors in the usual sense. They do not attack first. They do not dominate through fear. Yet they are more powerful than any force we have ever faced. That is extraordinary. Meanwhile, aboard the Vanguard, Captain Elena Drake prepared her fleet for the next mission. Humans had proven themselves in diplomacy and defense. They had demonstrated restraint, capability, and intelligence. But the galaxy was vast, and rumors of humans had reached far beyond Dominion space. Many civilizations remained unaware or skeptical of human existence. Elena, Lieutenant Kor said, "We have multiple requests for aid and diplomacy from nearby systems. Some are curious, some fearful, and some openly hostile. The galaxy is reacting to our presence faster than we anticipated." Elena nodded. "Prepare to respond. Humans act with purpose, but we must also act with caution. Our reputation is our strength, and our conduct will shape how the galaxy perceives us." The human fleet moved toward the system of Kithara, where a coalition of minor species awaited. These species had long relied on myths of powerful civilizations to explain the universe. When the humans arrived, their myths shattered. The Ketharans had expected aggression, intimidation, perhaps even conquest, but what they found was something else entirely: humans acting with intelligence, foresight, and fairness. The first meeting took place in a neutral orbital station. Elena and her team entered, greeted by representatives of the coalition. The room was filled with tension. Many species had come prepared for war, expecting humans to be ruthless invaders. Elena's voice was calm, her tone deliberate. "We are humans. We have come to understand, to cooperate, and to share knowledge. We do not seek to conquer. We do not seek to dominate. But we are prepared to defend ourselves, and those we ally with, if threatened." One Ketharan delegate, a tall, insectoid being, leaned forward. "Why should we trust you? Stories say humans are aggressive, unpredictable. We have never seen your kind." Elena met its gaze steadily. "Stories are not truth. We have survived not because we were the strongest, but because we adapted, cooperated, and acted with intelligence. We value life, understanding, and progress. That is why we are here, to show you reality, not legend." As discussions continued, the humans demonstrated advanced technology energy systems that improved planetary infrastructure, medical tools that could heal previously untreatable diseases, and strategies for defense and coordination that made allied species forces more effective without domination. The Ketharans and their coalition were astonished. Humans did not boast. They did not demand allegiance. Instead, they acted as guides, teachers, and examples of what a civilization could achieve when intelligence, discipline, and morality were combined. Meanwhile, back in Dominion space, Commander Rahl observed the progress with growing respect. Everywhere humans go, they do not just survive, they change the systems around them. They inspire, they challenge, they teach. That is a power no fleet can measure. Lieutenant Myra nodded. They do not just fight with weapons. They fight with strategy, with intelligence, and with example. That is what makes them legendary. Because now we know it is real. As humans continued to travel, news of their deeds spread rapidly. Their fleet had defended Talaris, aided Kithara, and engaged in diplomacy with countless systems. They had become symbols of what intelligence and morality could achieve. Entire civilizations began to reevaluate their understanding of power, conflict, and cooperation. But not all were pleased. Some powerful species, threatened by humans' growing influence, began plotting in secret. They feared that humans could upset the balance of power, making their own dominance less secure. These factions observed from afar, waiting for an opportunity to test humans, or perhaps eliminate them before alliances solidified. One such fleet, composed of technologically advanced but morally unscrupulous species, began mobilizing toward human-held systems. Their leaders underestimated humans, believing that their myths of restraint and morality meant weakness. They were wrong. Captain Elena Drake received word of the approaching fleet while overseeing aid missions on Kithara. Her expression remained calm. "All ships, prepare for coordinated defense. Remember, intelligence over strength, precision over aggression. We do not fight to destroy, but to protect and to teach. The humans formed a defensive perimeter around Cathara's system. Their ships moved with flawless coordination, predicting enemy maneuvers and neutralizing attacks with minimal destruction. The hostile fleet found themselves repeatedly outmaneuvered, their tactics countered with ease they could not comprehend. From the bridge of the vanguard, Elena observed the chaos unfold among the enemy fleet. "They do not understand us," she said quietly. "They see humans as mere aggressors or legends. They cannot grasp that intelligence, strategy, and discipline are as dangerous as weapons." Lieutenant Kor added, "Their fleet is collapsing under our tactics, without a single human casualty, Captain. They don't know how to respond." Elena's gaze remained steady. "That is the point. They will learn. The galaxy will learn. Humans survive not because we destroy, but because we adapt, outthink, and protect. That is our strength." As the battle ended, the enemy fleet retreated, defeated but alive. News of the engagement spread quickly. Humans had shown that true power was not measured by destruction, but by intelligence, adaptability, and the ability to act with restraint. The galaxy began to recognize humans, not just as survivors, but as leaders, guides, and pioneers. Commander Rahl, observing from the Dominion flagship, felt a profound change within himself. Humans had redefined power. They had turned fear into respect, suspicion into admiration. And yet, they remained humble, strategic, and patient. He spoke to Lieutenant Myra, who was reviewing reports. "Humans are not just a myth proven real. They are an example of what any species could become if they combined intelligence, courage, and morality. I do not know if the galaxy is ready for them." Myra nodded. "Perhaps the galaxy was never ready for humans. But humans always find a way." Back on Cathara, Elena met with coalition leaders after the battle. They were exhausted but grateful, and their view of humans had shifted dramatically. "You are unlike any species we have known," one leader said. "Your power, your strategy, your discipline, and yet, your restraint. We have learned more from your example than any history book could teach." Elena smiled. "Humans survive by learning, adapting, and cooperating. We act not out of hatred, not out of fear, but out of purpose. That is why we exist, and why we hope to share our understanding with the galaxy." As alliances formed and humans continued their journey, one truth became clear. The galaxy would never be the same. Humans had not arrived to conquer, but to demonstrate what was possible. They had challenged assumptions, rewritten legends, and set a new standard for survival, cooperation, and intelligence. Even among species that once feared or doubted humans, admiration grew. Scholars studied human behavior, strategists analyzed human tactics, and leaders reconsidered their approach to power. Humans had entered the galaxy not as conquerors, but as catalysts for understanding and progress. Captain Elena Drake addressed her fleet for the final time before continuing their voyage. "Humans are more than myths. We are survivors, explorers, and guides. The galaxy may test us, challenge us, or doubt us, but we will act with intelligence, courage, and morality. That is what defines humanity. That is why we exist." Across the stars, the words echoed. Humans were no longer legends. Humans were reality, and their presence was a promise. That intelligence, adaptability, and morality could change the course of history. Commander Rahl, watching from the Dominion flagship, spoke quietly to himself. "The galaxy will never be the same. Humans, they are extraordinary." As the human fleet moved into new systems, forging alliances and demonstrating their principles, one truth remained unshakable. The myth was real. Humans existed, and they had arrived not as conquerors, but as a force that would reshape the galaxy forever. The galaxy had doubted. The galaxy had feared. And now, the galaxy would learn. Humans were here. Humans were extraordinary. and the stars themselves seemed to shine a little brighter in acknowledgement.